Hi guys, welcome to my first tutorial. This is sort of an unofficial tutorial because I have to properly introduce myself to the community, do a little bit of shenanigans here and there to, whatever and all that. But this is not the typical first tutorial I'd have loved to put out, but this is sort of like an in-depth thing I want to do about a video I dropped on the IG page and sort of people asked me, they didn't see this, they didn't see that. So I just sort of wanted to do this to explain what was going on in there, give a more detailed tutorial about it. So what we are doing essentially here is we are just changing the background of this image. So we are taking it from this to this. You see, from this to this. All right. So my name is Sam, or you can call me PS Bedo, which I prefer you call me PS Bedo, or Paps. That's what I prefer you call me, and what I demand you call me. Anyway, so yeah, let's just jump straight into it because it's sort of like an official video, like I said earlier. So no, whatever. Anyway, so yeah, what we have to do first and foremost, this is an image I shot. If you like it, hey, I don't know, is it you like it or you like the girl? Because I like the girl, anyways. But yeah, with that out of the way, this is an image I shot a while ago, and you're going to change it. I looked at the image and I was like, the blue doesn't do a lot of good to the image. So what do I do then? Yeah, I was like, let me just change the background and see. And I feel like changing the background to doesn't actually makes the image more pronounced, more sexy, in my opinion. But anyways, what do I know? So yeah, what you first of all have to do is you have to make a selection around your subjects so that it will be easy for you to just change the background to whatever else you want to change it to. Because you can just come here, go to hue and saturation, change your saturation, change your master to blues because it's blue. Then just move it around, and yeah, pretty much, it's doing a fairly good job. It's also changing some of these things, but whatever, you can just, let's say you can do this, let's come to this side, and that's not so bad. But anyways, you can come here, and as it's changing, you can just select your brush, which is B. It's a shortcut. Select your brush, make sure 100, 100. Then you just make sure set to black on your layer mask, and you just sort of brush that away. And you've pretty much, I mean, we can pretty much, stop the tutorial right here because, the job is pretty much done. So you just go in there and just clean all the sides you don't want it to affect and all that kind of stuff. But that is not what we are going to do today because we want a much more professional approach to it. And what if it's not as easy as it is to just get on the sliders and just change that one and get all that? So let's just do this, that. So what you have to do is, to make a selection around the subjects. You can use what I typically use or what most people use for professional results is the pen tool. So what you do is you just select the pen tool, which is P on the keyboard. Let's just zoom into this. Zoom in is Control Plus on the Mac. Sorry, on the Windows. I'm using a Windows laptop. So you just select this and you just go around, you click, and you go to the next point you want, and you click, and you realize if you click, it's going to form a straight line. So as you've clicked, you still hold it and you just drag it, and it gives you this sort of curvature. You understand? So as you say, if you're okay with it, you can just leave it there. Then you hold your Alt around this point, around whatever point, this point or this point, or even this point. Does it work? I don't know. But anyways, we're trying to move on to the next. If I click again, you can see that it's curving because it's moving towards this direction. So as I do that, so what you have to do is you have to give it a new pattern to follow, a new sort of direction to move. So you just hold Alt and you just drag this to the different direction you want it to, or the new direction you want it to be going. So now if I click this, you can see it's just moving along that direction. So that's what you do. You just move around, then move around. So essentially that's what we're going to do. We're just going to move around, click and curve and shift that, or it's a bit tedious, it's and it's annoying sometimes. In fact, it's not sometimes, it's always annoying. but that's what gives you the professional result. And I mean, if I've learned anything in this life, it's about the fact that if you want something done and done right, you have to go through the pains, and the reward is going to be very, very satisfying. So we'll continue this. I would just speed the the video up right now so that I don't waste your time going around this. Now, when you get somewhere around this side where the hairs, you cannot, logically, you cannot, make a selection. So what you do is you just make a rough selection around it, because there's other things we can do to get this looking pretty neat. So you just make a quick selection around, then you continue. So our selection is done now. And what we have to do now is you just click on this selection, then this window pops up. We're not going to get into the whole pen tool thing now, so we'll just stick with what we're doing and I'll explain what I'm doing. So feather is sort of just blurring the background. So if you think this is the perfect selection for you, then you can just feather it here and you just go ahead with what you're doing. But I typically don't like to feather it here. I just click on this and then I go to my marquee selection tool and I go to select a mask, because I like to see what I am doing and we need to fix this also. So just zoom in that. All right, so to fix this, we need to select this. If you can see, this whole icon with this whole hair thing. What it does is it fixes hair, makes selections around hair. So you just click on it and then you brush just around the side where the hairs are supposed to be. And Photoshop is going to, do a fairly decent job of making a selection on that side. So in the same way, you can do that to the hairs around the hair, basically the straight, as well as the straight hairs around the hairs. If you want to encapsulate all that, because the more you can get that into your image, the more realistic your whole edit will turn out. You understand? So if you can see, it's done a very, very decent job of selecting it. If not for tutorial purposes, I would have gone around this to just capture some of the stray hair, but just because of tutorials, let's just ignore that. So then we draw our attention to this side. We just smooth, it's just to smoothen the selection, make it, more smoother. Then feather is what I explained before, the edges, it just sort of softens the gradient, the sharpness of the edge. So you just, because of the size, it depends on the size of the image. So these values are not, ideal for everything. It's just dependent on the image you're working on. So because of my image is around 4,000 by 6,000 pixels or something like that. So I think I've feathered it somewhere around 1, and I shot at a pretty wide aperture. So no, a small aperture, yes. So somewhere around 1 is fine for me. 1.1 is all right. Now shift edge is essentially supposed to shift the edge of the selection. So either it's sort of like contracting the selection or expanding it. So Now, because I use the pen tool, I don't need to do a lot of that because I was fairly decent in my selection. Like I did a decent job in my selection. So now, next thing to do is just output. So output is essentially how you want the outcome of the selection to be. So if you just want it to be a selection or a layer mask on the same layer you're working on, or a new layer with a layer mask, if it's not for tutorials purposes, I usually go with new layer with layer mask so that I can go in and make little tweaks if I want to. Because if you watch, something like this should have been dealt with, but we forgot about it or we ignored it because I knew it. I just forgot about it. So I typically go with that, but because of the tutorial stakes, I just go with new layer and you hit an OK. So what that does is it just takes or cuts the subject and puts the subject on a new layer. Then we are good to go. Now, this is not so very important, but given that this image was quite as a clean background, it's a simple background, we could have just gone ahead to use the magic wand tool, which is there. You just click, hold, and select. Click and hold, and you just select the magic wand tool. So what would have done is that we could have just clicked on the background and it would have made a fairly decent selection around everything around where we've selected. So now if you watch, it selected everything from here right up into here. This wasn't selected because what it's trying to say is that this is a bit different from here. And if you watch, you can see here is darker than here. So all you have to do is just hold shift, which gives you a plus icon, which means you're adding to the selection. So you click on here and it adds to it. So then you click wherever else you want to add to it. So somewhere here. And if we were concerned about this, we can just come on here and just click it and it makes a selection too. So yeah, pretty much because it's an easy background, but I went through with a pen tool because what if it wasn't a clean background? We needed to do that. And I made a mistake for this because we are clicking on the background. What we did was we were selecting the background instead of the subject. So all you have to do is just right click and you select the inverse. So select inverse. So that's going to select the subject rather. And the same thing we did, you just come here and you know, because we use the magic wand with this, I'll do a lot of shifting or contracting so that it goes a bit into the skin or the subject. Then we do a little bit of the smoothing, then back to the feather, somewhere around 1.1, which is just fine like before, then back to new layer. So what we've essentially done, we just created a quick selection. You know, it's not as tedious as we used to do that add-on. We did with the pen tool. So now, as we have our selection, let's just take this away. The one we did with pen tool wasted our time for nothing much. You needed to learn. So now, as we have this selection, now we can just do whatever we want. We can introduce a new picture. We can take this picture and put it on something else, whatever it is we want to do. But here, we want to make a new background. So what we are going to do, because of the type of background we're going to do, is we are going to just come down here and we are going to click on this icon, this one, and we are selecting gradient. So first thing we'll do is just change this from linear to radial. I mean, of course, you can choose whatever you want to do, but for realistic purposes, you just choose radial because typically that's what works best. And you click on this, then you go to basic and you choose this because you need a full opacity gradient. So now you come here and you click on this one. This is where you make your color selection. So we will go with something like here. Now what I want to do is, you know, typically you would want to create a separation between the background and the subject. So with that, you do that by adding a spotlight. If you're a photographer, to create a separation, you do that by adding a spotlight behind the subject onto the background. So you create that illusion by using a lighter color over here. So we'll just choose something like this. And then we'll come here, color, then we'll go back to here, then we'll select a deeper version of that color. So something like this is fairly good, fairly decent. So yeah, we're good. So now I would like to widen or make it bigger, the spotlight. So I'll just crank the scale up a little, and I think this is fairly decent. So let's just do this. All right. So then you hit OK. So now at this point you can see that okay, we've done a fairly decent job. It's good, it's all right. But we can take it a step further, you understand? Because if you take a picture, there's always, a bit of noise in there. So we are going to replicate that noise. And what we do is we just add a new layer, then you fill it with 50% gray. So all you do is you hit shift, backspace or delete, and you come here. You're supposed to choose 50% gray from here. So you click on OK, then it's going to make the layer gray, 50% gray. Now what you do is you go to filter, add noise. So like I was saying, the noise. So you add noise to it, and this image was shot in a controlled environment. It was a studio shoot, so the noise was minimal because we controlled the lights and everything. So we didn't shoot at a high ISO and all that. So we controlled everything. So somewhere around 4 is fine, and you choose Gaussian, not uniform, because uniform is sort of uniform and you need it to be all scattered all over the place. So yeah, and you choose monochromatic instead of color, because that's better, that gives you a better job. Then you hit OK. Now it doesn't need to be that sharp, so you need to add a little blur to it. So you go back into your filter, then you go to Gaussian blur, and you add Gaussian blur. So given the aperture which the image was shot is what is going to influence the decision of the radius of this Gaussian blur. And this was shot at, I think, 7 point something or 8 point something. So it's not fairly enough blur into it. So somewhere around 5 is fairly decent. So you just hit on OK. And if you watch here, you can see that there's a bit of, let me just zoom in there, yes. So you can see there's a bit of inconsistency, patches and all that. So this is what we're actually looking for. So you just come to your blending mode and you select soft light, and it's going to take away the gray and it's going to leave that bit of inconsistency or whatever it is, I don't know how to call it, in there to create the illusion of the noise in the image. So now, remind you, this is not very important, but it's just something I like doing because I like to make it professional. So now the last step, which is the most important in my opinion, is color grading the subject to the new background you've introduced, because every image you take, all the information in the images comes together to form the image you make. So if you shoot in a blue background, it's going to leave a bit of its identity on the image, you understand? So if you take it away, you need to take that identity away also and replace it with the identity of a new background you've introduced in there. I hope that makes sense, because if you take an image on a blue background, there's going to be a blue color cast on the subject or something else. So if you take the blue background out and you bring a yellow, it doesn't make sense that a yellow background with a blue cast on the image. This image didn't have a lot of that because, like I said earlier, it was a controlled environment. The lighting was pretty decent, so you didn't get a lot of that. But let's assume it did, or even if it didn't, we just needed to look more pleasing to the eye. So what you do is you add it, you create the subject alone to match the new background. And by doing that, typically use a color balance. There's a lot of ways to do it, but I like using the color balance. So you color balance and you hold Alt and you come in between the layers and you just click it so that whatever you do here, it's called a clipping mask. Whatever you do here is going to affect just the layer below or beneath it. So now you come to this drop down tone and you just select highlights, midtones, or shadows. So let's go to the highlights. What I'm going to do is add a little bit of the yellow and the red. No, that's too much. Let's a little bit of this. And I'm going to go into shadows and do the same. Same thing, 2+1. Okay, so yeah, that's fairly decent for me. And let's see if you're going to add this. Let me add a little bit of magenta. So what we're essentially doing is we're just taking blues away from the image and introducing yellow and reds, because this is sort of like an orangey yellowish background. So we're just introducing that into the subject, onto the subject. So if you see before, after, I don't know if you're seeing it, but it's definitely making it a lot better in my opinion. So then pretty much we are done. So let's just group all this together. Then let me just put it back on. So we took the image from this to this, from this to this. So thank you guys for sticking through with me and my ranting and all that. Sorry about the sound if it's not so pleasing. In fact, I know it's not so pleasing. I ordered a new microphone, or I did a microphone. Well, it's a new microphone because I have, I think, two already, which is not so good also. But this one, I'm using the what do you call it, the microphone of my laptop. And like I said, it's just a quick thing I'm doing, and we'll get into proper business of making proper tutorials with a little I know, and we can just grow together and all that. So thank you for sticking through me. If you have any question, drop in the comment section below. Please like, please subscribe, and there's Facebook page, Instagram page, and all that kind of stuff. All the links are beneath, so just do well to probably just follow. And also, very soon we're going to start a 30-day Photoshop walkthrough. So we'll just probably talk about everything. Not probably, we're actually going to talk about basically Photoshop for 30 days. So I'm sure by the time you're done with it, if you start with us and stick through with us, you are going to be fairly decent in using Photoshop, as in knowing how to use Photoshop, like I do. No, well, not like I do, because you can't take 30 days to learn what I've learned for over 5 years. But it's a stepping stage. You get it. So yeah, thank you, and hope to see you next time. That's bye.